So today we are having a very dignified personality over here, Mr. Madan Pillai sir. He has more than 30 years of experience in various phases of shipping. He had been the general manager of South Zone at Sea Horse Ship Agencies Private Limited. He also have been the former president in Cochin Steamer Agents Association. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
So, sir, shall we start?
Please.
We are very pleased to have you here, sir.
My pleasure.
Sir, can you speak about the scope of shipping business in our country? Can you explain?
In?
Can you explain the scope of?
Yeah. So, when you were introducing me, you said that I have more than 30 years experience. So my experience is in what we call shipping. Shipping, that term, though it's a brief term, it covers variety of activity. I'll just give you a brief idea before I'm coming to what you asked me. Like shipping, as we know, this is commercial shipping, which is different from merchant navy. So shore-side shipping. So it involves handling of the ship when it comes to the port. By the way, in the shipping industry, we don't call a ship, we call it a vessel. So we call it vessel handling. We handle the ship when it comes to the port. There are formalities with customs and the port. That is one activity. Another activity is when after the ship comes to the port, we have to be either the agent of the vessel or we have to be representing the shipping line as a direct office when it comes to the port. So there are a lot of activities involved there. If it's a container shipping company bringing cargo in containers, then we need to do marketing for cargo. Then there is, of course, the finance and accounts, which is there in every activity. There's something called documentation. There's a lot of documentation involved in shipping. The most common one is called bill of lading. That is there. So there has to be a department handling the documentation. And the fourth one is operations. That is the actual shipping operations. When the ship comes to the port, if it's in a container, for example, you got to discharge it from the ship or the vessel, and you got to take it to a container freight station. You got to take out the cargo, which is called destuffing under customs supervision. After that, the container gets empty. You got to move the container to a place called a depot. Transport has to be arranged. There's a lot of logistics involved. That is what you call operations. So all these activities are there under a shipping line office. What are the other activities coming under shipping? You have custom house broking. As you know, we are talking about international cargo, or what we call ex-im, import-export, ex-im cargo. That's a term we use in the industry. Every cargo coming into India or exported from India can only be done so under customs supervision and under their control. See, that's how the law is. So we have a category called customs brokers. These are the people in the middle, right, between the customs and the cargo owners. Customs gives a license to these brokers, and unless you have a license, only then you can do what is called customs broking. And to have a license, you have to be familiar with the Indian Customs Act 1962. There are many other allied acts. You have to be aware of it. You have to pass an exam, either as an individual or as a company, to become a customs broker. So that's another activity. It's called customs broking. Then you have something called freight forwarding. These are also brokers in a way. You're broking freight here. Freight means cargo. Cargo and the rate you charge for carrying it, both are called freight. Okay, so you've got freight forwarders. They are the people in between the cargo owner and the ship owner. Connecting the two is what you call a freight forwarder. That is another very important activity. There are very big freight forwarding companies across the world and in India. So that's the other activity called freight forwarding. Then you have what is called a container freight station and a depot. Container freight station is where the containers, when they landed from the ship, They're taken to the container freight station, which is a fully protected area with a fence and all that. You have customs sitting there 24/7. Cargo is taken out of the container for imports and put inside the container, what we call stuffing, destuffing for export under customs supervision. Because as I said, only with their permission, and provided that all the laws and regulations are complied with, only then customs allows you to either take out the cargo for import into the domestic tariff area or for export. It can only be with their permission and in accordance with the rules and regulations. All this is done in a container freight station. Then you got what is called a depot. A depot is a place where empty containers, without cargo, empty containers are stored and repaired. So the people who run the depot, they charge storage. For storing the container, there is a rental and you repair it. Either you have to weld it or certain types, you might have to change the floorboard or whatever. That is also charged. That's how the depot operators earn their revenue. But that's also very important activity called depot, because you need the depot to store it and to get it repaired. That's the other activity. Then you have marine insurance. Marine insurance is not quite like the normal insurance which we have, life insurance or whatever. You have two types. One is for the cargo. The other one is a special type of insurance which ship owners take to insure their vessel against third-party claims. That's called P&I, protection and indemnity. So that all comes under marine insurance, different from the usual insurance that we are aware of. Then you have maritime law. Normally, maritime law is handled by lawyers who specialize in maritime law, but it's not necessary that you have to be a lawyer. Like I myself am not a lawyer, but during the course of my career, I have specialized in maritime law through my experience. So maritime law is also a very interesting field. There are many laws and regulations. If you take a bill of lading, which is the basic document in shipping, a bill of lading is what you call a receipt for the cargo. In very simple terms, you're giving me some cargo, which might be worth lakhs of rupees, might be electronic equipment. I am the shipping line taking your cargo. You're giving it to me in good faith to carry it to some part of the world where you want to take it. I have to give you a receipt for that. No? That's called a bill of lading in very simple terms. But that bill of lading is governed by so many rules and regulations. So at the back side of the bill of lading in small print, you will have what is called the various terms and conditions which comes under COGSA, Carriage of Goods by Sea Act. So that is all a part of maritime law. So that is another field. One more area of shipping which is a more advanced stage is called chartering. Chartering is actually, in very simple terms, hiring of a ship. You need suppose I am a cargo owner. I have got to carry about 2 million tons of coal from China to the US. I don't have a ship. I'm not going to buy a ship. That will be a huge capital investment, right? Each ship will cost about $40-50 million. I'm not going to invest on 10 ships. What do? I hire a ship to carry my cargo for a period of time. That process of hiring a ship is called chartering. It's a very vast field, a very advanced stage of shipping. All these activities are what we call shipping. Okay. So I think your question to me was, what is the stage of shipping now?
The scope of shipping.
Scope of shipping. So as you can see from what I just told you, there's so many activities under shipping. See, shipping is an activity which is basically carriage of cargo, commercial cargo, through sea by ship. Shipping will never go out of business, isn't it? As long as the world exists, international trade has to go on. It cannot stop. And the only way it can be carried is through commercial vessels. The other one is the Navy, which is for the defense. The merchant Navy, as you call it, as the name itself implies, you carry merchant cargo meant for trading. That will always be there as long as the world is there, right? Shipping industry, like all other industries, has its ups and downs. It's had its ups and downs. There were periods when shipping went into doldrums. Like, for example, when the 2008 real estate crash in the US, that badly affected shipping because the volume of goods came down. US is the driving force, that number one country in the world at that time. Now China is taking over from that position. So when the US went into doldrums, US went into recession, and the world itself went into recession, as you know. Shipping also got affected because the goods being transported came down. So like that, shipping has its ups and downs, but it will always survive, isn't it? And now The pandemic has had a major influence on shipping also, like every other aspect of human life. So when the pandemic first started, shipping also was hit very badly because the goods which were moving came down. Everybody was stuck at home. But then a peculiar situation arose out of the pandemic. Initially, lot of our masks and the sanitizers and all, thousands of them were shipped in containers to South America and Africa and all to combat COVID in the initial days, 2020. What happened was, after the cargo was taken out of the containers, the shipping lines concentrated on the more lucrative trade lanes. For example, from China to the US. Another peculiar thing which happened due to the COVID was, when people were all stuck at home, in the US for example, people wanted to do exercise. They were all stuck at home. They ordered exercise cycles, all made in China. And not thousands, by the millions, cycles were ordered. They all came in containers. Los Angeles port, for example, on the US West Coast, 10 to 15 ships with all these sort of cargo, meant for home use, got stuck there. Why? Because the port workers, who were supposed to handle this cargo, discharge it and all, they were also not coming for work because of COVID. Port workers were not there to handle the equipment. Ships got delayed. They were waiting at outer roads, waiting for a berth to come in. And this was a cascading situation across the world. Containers, once the masks and all were taken out, empty containers were stuck in certain areas. They were not moved to areas where they were required. So the supply chain got disrupted. There were not enough containers to carry the cargo. There was a lot of demand. The supply was not meeting the demand. That's where the break came in the supply chain. And that situation prevails still today. So what happened as a result was, the freight rates are what you pay for carrying the cargo, went up astronomically. It went up even 10 to 15 times. To give you an example, a 40-foot container. There are two types of containers, 40 foot in length and 20 foot. A 40-foot container from China to the US, the freight rate before COVID was around $4,000. If you're taking a full container, 40-foot container, and you want to ship your cargo from Shanghai to Los Angeles, it would cost you around $4,000 before COVID. After COVID, by around 2021 or so, the rate went up to $15,000 to $20,000. 4 or 5 times. Who has to pay for this? The exporter. And what will he do in turn? He will pass it on to the consumer. Your exercise cycle I gave you as an example, if it was costing $100, since the freight rate went up 5 times, the cost of the cycle also he will raise up 5 times because he has to recover his money. Eventually, what is that causing? Inflation. So today, as we see, the world is into inflation. USA, for example, the interest rates and all have been raised. Why? The inflation. The world is on the verge of going into a recession. It's all because of the COVID, of course, and this disruption in the supply chain. But the shipping lines benefited. They made big money because the rates went up so much. To give you an idea, in 2021, shipping lines made a profit of around 190 billion, not million, billion US dollars. And in this year, 2022, which is just halfway through, they expect to make a profit of around 200 billion, even more. While they made big money, it's not a healthy situation. It's resulting in inflation. But to come back to your question, now post-COVID, we are sort of coming into that period, and COVID will always be there. But as we see, the current COVID situation is that it's not spreading like earlier, like Omicron and whatnot. I think COVID is something we'll all have to live with. It will be around, but I don't think we'll need to go into a sort of a lockdown situation here afterwards. So the world is, I think, going to explode in terms of cargo movement and trade. It's going to increase only. I feel it's very difficult actually to predict anything these days. It's just my take on it. I feel as we go into 2022-23, international cargo, commercial cargo is going to increase. So this, what does it mean? For all aspects of the shipping industry, all these activities, once the cargo increases, the scope also increases. And just one more thing I'd like to say is about the Indian shipping industry. I don't want to touch on any politics here, but we have a very good minister who's in charge of the shipping industry, shipping ministry. A lot of good work has been done in terms of improving the roads in India, and also there's the Sagarmala scheme, under which a huge amount of money has been earmarked for development of ports. So a lot of good work has already been done. It's in the process of being done. For example, the roads, as I said, Indian roads are notoriously bad. And as you know, bulk of the movement within India is through road.
Yes.
There are actually alternatives. You can take it by coastal ships, but that has not really caught on, for various reasons. Most of India's cargo, even today, like I was in Bangalore last week, lot of the cargo road which you see are heavy vehicle movement. So most of it goes by road, and as a result, our roads take a pounding. Condition of the roads are not good. There's so much traffic. So there is an alternative. You develop coastal traffic by coastal ships. So there the government has taken a lot of initiative. And so the scope of the Indian logistics industry is also vast. We're talking of something around $200 billion. The Indian logistics industry. There are about 8 logistics hubs in India. So 8 places have been identified. You're going to have a lot of what are called inland container depots and logistic hubs, which are going to gain more prominence. There's going to be a lot of investment in warehouses. So as far as the Indian logistics sector and the global logistics sector, I think we are poised for good growth in the years to come. So from the angle of a youngster or somebody who wants to enter this industry, scope is very good. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. It's good news for our youngsters who is hoping to join the shipping industry actually.
Right time.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really good. Sir, what about the importance of customer service?
Very important. It's very important because shipping is a service industry. So customer service is vital, I would say. And for example, in certain aspects, because when you if you take a shipping line like Maersk is the world's biggest shipping line, it's a Danish conglomerate. Now they will want to brand their product, isn't it, Maersk, because there are a lot of competition. So many other shipping lines like MSC, Costco, and all that. Everybody is there competing. So you're in the service sector. So the customer service, as you mentioned, is a very vital aspect of any shipping company. And so that is something, even for the marketing team, it will have to be inculcated about the customer service part of it. It forms a very vital aspect, definitely, yes.
So many of our students are interested into customer servicing also.
Sorry?
Many of our students are interested into customer servicing also.
Yeah.
They want to, they would love to present themselves maybe beautifully. They see that it's a colorful world. So, that was...
Customer service, talking of customer service, I would rather put it more as marketing. As far as shipping is concerned, customer service as such is maybe not the right term. I feel it would be more of marketing, because it's not that customers are going to come to your office. No? In any other, you're selling some particular product or something, you're marketing a particular product, customers are coming to your showroom, right? Here it's not that. No? Nobody's really coming to you. You're not opening a showroom where customers are coming in and you need to have customer service. Here you're marketing your shipping line as a product, right? You're going to them.
Yes.
They're not coming to your showroom because you don't have a showroom. So in that sense, it's not exactly customer service. It is customer service, but more of a marketing your product to them by going to their place and marketing it to them.
Okay.
That way, it's a customer service, but different from the normal customer service you would think about.
Yes. And sir, the share of our shipping in the global trade.
Yeah, for example, it's a good question. Around 80% of the cargo which moves between countries by volume and 70% by value is carried by ships. The balance goes out by air, you have air cargo movement or by pipeline or whatever. But the majority, here it is, 80% of volume, 70% by value is carried by ships. Because that is the only way you can carry large quantity. For example, when we talk of what we call dry bulk cargo, which is the main cargo carried across the world. As the word itself says, dry cargo, which is dry, not in liquid form, and bulk. Bulk means in huge quantity. So, what are the dry bulk cargoes carried across the world? You can think of food grains like wheat and rice, or fertilizers, coal, iron ore. These are the commodities carried in a huge volume. We're talking of probably 1 million tons and more across the world. So that will always be there.
This is the cheapest mode of transportation.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's, it is also the cheapest. It is also the only mode of transport where you can carry such large volumes. Can you carry millions of tons of coal in an aircraft? You can't. It's got its limitations. So as long as I said, as long as the world exists, the only way of carrying goods from one country to another is through sea, using ships. The largest vessels in the world, just for your information, are those which carry petroleum products, the oil tankers, and those which carry iron ore. There's huge movement of iron ore which is needed for the production of steel. China is the largest importer of steel, just for your information. There's a lot of steel moving from Australia, from Brazil to China in ships, which are some of the biggest ships built. It's about 4 to 5 lakh tons, dead weight ton as we call it. Those are specially made just to carry iron ore. So only ships can do it. There is no other mode which has come up as of now. Tomorrow technology might bring something else, but as of now it is shipping.
Sir, what are the upcoming changes in the industry?
Yeah. See, we live in a very dynamic, volatile world, which is made more and more volatile, I would say, due to COVID. As it is, the world is in turmoil. So many things happening. Even if you look before COVID, you had the US-China trade war, which started a few years back, and then you had conflicts in some part of the world or the other. You have the North African region. It is, if you take Syria, Yemen, Egypt, and all those countries are in ferment, isn't it? There's a lot of problems there, a lot of refugee crisis, refugees wanting to move across the Mediterranean Sea into Europe. So the world is in a sort of a churn, isn't it? It's already in a state of a churn. Then the COVID came, and that has also brought about a lot of changes as far as the shipping industry is concerned. Today there is a lot of focus on digitalization and blockchain logistics, as they call it. Blockchain is something which is coming not only in shipping, I think everywhere it's coming in. And these are good developments, as I say, because things have to change. Change is one thing which is always constant, isn't it? So shipping for quite some time has been following a lot of archaic, old style of functioning. The bill of lading, for example, which is the most important document, up till recently and throughout my career, active career, it was a paper bill of lading. We used to take a printout and somebody used to sign it, and those days are almost gone now. Today it's the electronic bill of lading, what you call a smart bill. That comes due to the increased process of digitalization and blockchain logistics. The blockchain is a reasonably new phenomenon. I think it came in just about 5 to 10 years back. The word blockchain itself came in, and now it's gaining momentum like anything. So in shipping, blockchain has brought in a lot of welcome change. For example, you're moving a cargo, say from Seoul in South Korea. You're moving it, say, to Rotterdam. Okay, the entire logistics chain, from the time it is picked up from the warehouse of the supplier or the shipper, till it is brought to the port, put on the ship, brought to Rotterdam, offloaded there, taken to the buyer's warehouse. This entire chain, due to blockchain, everything is transparent now. It's all captured in blockchain. And once you capture it in the blockchain, you can't change it. For example, the date. You put a date, you can't change it. it remains. It can be a problem, but it's more advantages also. A lot of unfair practices earlier which were there. There was something called high seas bill of lading, where in the bill of lading the shipper and the consignee used to change because they do a sale on the high seas, which are very secretively done. So they have what is called a switch BL and all that. Various practices were there. Today, when in blockchain, all that is not possible. So the whole movement, which involves various people. You got the shipper, you got the consignee, you got the shipping line. All can see the entire chain transparently, and you can't tamper with it. Third parties also cannot do anything in it. So that is what you call blockchain, and that is another major development into shipping. Apart from which, technological changes. For example, you're going to have already it's come in a small way and is going to gain momentum. There is a port in China called Qingdao. Qingdao is one of the major ports, Qingdao. It is the first port in the world to be fully automatic. So when the ship comes to the port and it discharges cargo and everything, it's all automatically done. The human element is reduced. So that will gain momentum. You'll have more and more automatic ports coming up. So look at the technological advances. It's mind-boggling actually. When I can say from my experience, my early days in shipping, where the human element in a port is so much there. Nothing can be done without human beings controlling everything, the truck, the carrying, the movement, controlling how the containers kept on the trailer, everything. Today it's all automatic. And this is the first port which is fully automatic. And now tomorrow you're going to have driverless trucks. Even ships you might have without crew. Ships can be operated, I believe very soon it will come. So the technological changes sweeping shipping are enormous, and it's so fast changing. So the youngsters who are coming into this field should be made aware of the changes. Otherwise the changes will sweep them away. But that's good, it's for the good. Major changes are going to come, already in the way.
Youngsters should be interested in that technical side also.
They'll have to be necessarily.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's it. That's going to come in more and more. And they should be very in line with that. Otherwise they'll find it difficult to survive. The skills which you need to survive now onwards in the maritime industry are different, going to be different. They'll have to keep pace with that.
So, sir, finally, your valuable advice to our students who is opt in this industry, would love to pursue their career in this industry.
After having been in this industry for so many years, see, my own career initially, I was in a different field. Then I came into shipping, and it's been the most satisfying career for me because so many activities, which I just explained, so many activities are involved. There's no monotony whatsoever. So much variety, so much challenge. That challenge has to be taken in a good way, particularly for youngsters. There's a lot of challenge in the shipping industry. Nothing is going to be easy. But that challenge, if you look at it positively, it's so exciting. And I found it so exciting. So many challenges almost on a day-to-day basis. Different activities. I found it so energizing.
So you feel bored, right?
You will never feel bored. It's an excellent industry. Only thing, the youngsters who come in have to have the right attitude. And I think this goes for any industry for that matter. Particularly in shipping, with so much of challenge there. But from that challenge, so much opportunity. The industry today, I can tell you after being in this for so many years, require people with the youngsters with the right attitude and the right training. Training is something which can always be given. There's so many good institutes which give the right training, the technical training and the knowledge. That can be acquired. But the attitude is the most important thing. So those who have the right attitude with the skills which you acquire, huge scope in shipping. And youngsters can also go all over the world. If you join a shipping company, you can be posted. Like I've gone all over the world. The career took me all over the world. So you can see the world. You can experience so much about life. I think it's a marvelous career. One of the best careers going, I would say.
So, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Your words are so inspiring as well as it was very informative.
Thank you.
It's going to help our students who are pursuing, who are dreaming about to build a
Yes.
wonderful career.
That's dreams. Youngsters should keep their dreams alive. It's very, very important. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a privilege and a pleasure.
It's our pleasure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sri.